Welcome to the first ever epic stop motion build. This build consists of 3 separate units, which however could not be separated as units because of them being on the waterfront, beachfront lots. So I did not realise this until after I had finished building, unfortunately, but all of these builds are available separately on the gallery. There is also the alternative option that you can lock the doors, have roommates for gameplay to separate them into their buildings and lock the doors, or have a family and only accept certain ones into certain buildings. Personally, I prefer these as separate builds as much as they look amazing together. Just the gameplay element, it's just not how I like to play. It's extra trouble, I guess, trying to have different families in different houses and play alongside them. However, I do like how they look together as a group of houses. I find it quite a shame that we don't have this option for the waterfront. I mean, I don't mind sharing a boat or two, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately. As we're coming up to this part, the pergola, I believe that's pronounced right. I have recorded this twice, once for doing the interior and once for the exterior, both in slightly different ways as far as I can recall at the moment. As you can tell, the grid comes and goes, and there are a few other slight indiscrepancies, I think that's right, that you might notice as we go along. Some of them are with the transitions that I recorded it or thought I recorded it, and a common problem I was having was that I was recording me editing the objects to take the next picture rather than recording the transition from one to the other, and by the time I got around to editing, I had recorded everything I didn't want to record. So these things happen, and I had to go back and try and find the transition places. Some of them are perfectly smooth, others you'll see little jumps, just slight variation into where it is in the rooms. For all of these builds, I have gone completely out of my wheelhouse and tried a very modern build. I've done a lot of research into kind of like modern mansion style homes and beach homes. The kind of, what is it, cobblestone concrete pylons have completely upgraded how it looks more modern. I've been trying to do this style for a very long time. This build has a variation of packs. I did not try to limit myself to any in particular, but the ones that inspired me clearly from the start is definitely the Island Living expansion pack. And to help try and keep myself a little bit more concise, sticking on the modern theme, I did very much try to focus on the Love Struck expansion pack, as well as For Rent and Dream Home decor pack, just to try and influence the direction I was going in, to keeping the build a lot more modern than my usual projects. I do apologise, that sounded a little robotic at the end because I was looking at my list of packs, because it's got to be written down, otherwise I go off on a tangent, as my very much awesome subscribers probably know by now, and you're used to it. And if you're new here, a great big welcome from me, myself and I set myself the challenge of using all of the extra space I could. There's a lot of little display areas available, and this one here is, I create a fish tank and then it goes into the outside. With these little display areas, you've seen that I've put in the glass wall to kind of make it really like a display shelf. However, thinking back on it now, I am debating whether then the Sims don't get the effects of the decoration because it's technically in a separate room. So that's something I didn't consider. I just wanted to make little displays. We shall see. It might be worth taking those out later, in all honesty. It was just a second thought watching back. I do lots of little decorative things and then I kind of go back to them and think, actually, will this work in game? Sometimes I struggle a little bit creatively in trying to make each build have a unique element. With these ones, I definitely feel like the exterior decoration has kind of maybe upped my build game, especially for the modern build. I particularly enjoyed building the fish tank. It's not something I've thought of doing before, and you need the foundation raised so you can put the fish tanks underneath in the foundation to make the fish look like they are in the tank that you've created, and you do this by making them smaller and placing them underneath. Sometimes you have to raise and lower the foundation to get it in the right position, and it's also quite difficult to then readjust once you've put the fish in there. And for a little while they were kind of swimming in and out of the building. However, I liked the challenge, I liked doing something different, and it was just epic. Like, the way you can see it on the outside as well, that really took this build from 1 to like 100 in my thoughts, because it was just different and something I haven't done before. And creativity in builds is something that can actually be a struggle when you get stuck doing the same things over and over again. I have learned so much trying to create this build, even the use of the half walls that are in every build on the exterior on this, and creating columns to really give that modern effect. I really believe I've kind of upscaled, I've leveled up in a way to my building on The Sims just by pushing through on this build on something that I've really struggled to do before. In terms of the video, I'm really happy with how the stop motion effect has made my videos a lot smoother, because I feel like I was all over. My building style was very chaotic. I have said this before, that doing it this way, it does take a lot longer, but I feel visually it's a lot more pleasing. Anybody that's seen any previous videos, I'd appreciate your opinion. To me, this is a complete upgrade to my normal videos, simply because I reap chaos on those videos, and it's always been something I have struggled with, watching back visually and feeling like it's all over the place and there's no method to the madness. Where now I can just build in the madness as I do and present it in a much nicer way. The glass walls were a big inspiration. It's something I really wanted to use for this build, partly because, again, of trying to bring out the modernism, but in my research, I always research to see if I can do that, and that's one of my toxic traits. I look at something like, yeah, I could build that, that's fine. It doesn't work out like that very often, that's for sure. Anyway, in a lot of the research, there was big open window areas looking out onto the water in the beach properties, and so I figured that's something awesome I'd like to continue into The Sims. I feel like trying to choose the correct glass wall for each area was actually quite difficult. I really wanted to use the fancy pretty ones with all the swells. However, that took away that modernist feel. I believe this build is the first time I've used any items from the Love Struck expansion pack to any great extent, partly because of the modernism, but I've actually really struggled to create much from this pack without feeling it's a little gaudy, and I love so much of it, and I don't know how to use it and implement it in my builds necessarily. So I'm thinking maybe this is another step to try and make another build where I can use a lot of items from this pack and go like really retro. but I don't have any experience in that, so that's another challenge. That's a good place to be in. In most of the bedrooms, I've tried to implement a hobby or an activity to try and give a personality to the room and decide who is this room for, how can I separate it from the others. I don't like creating Sims rooms without much purpose. There are a few in there which are just bedrooms to try and vary it a little bit, but I like purpose to every room and to give the Sims a reason to go into every single room of the house. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. I love your comments. I know I'm very delayed in getting back to you, and I apologise for that. I literally stay away from YouTube, and then the minute I put a video up, I see some lovely comments, and that just gives me reason to carry on and post another video. Just one like just makes it all worth it to me for my time and effort, simply because I get so much enjoyment out of it. I hope you're all doing well, staying safe, keeping epic, and I will see you again, hopefully a lot sooner, in the next video.